Welcome to the Go Racing Podcast. Today, we're in a sound studio. Today, we have our special guest with us, Jason Kranitz of KINGPIN Car and Marine Audio. I remember when I couldn't say that.
I know,
and I'm like,
a mouthful.
I'm just going to say KINGPIN.
Most people do.
And obviously, we have Anthony here as well. He's actually not working for once.
Yeah, I made it today.
So anyways, thank you guys for signing on. We're getting the comments on our screen here. Hey, Delaney, thanks for always tuning in. You're awesome. So today we're going to start digging into some information about Jason because we met, I don't know, like 9 months ago. Actually, January-ish?
It was right before COVID started.
Yeah.
Yeah, right before
It was literally
COVID.
like a week or two.
Yeah.
Oh, and you have a major fan. Mark Dublin's on here. Do you remember him? He had a Honda or something.
I think you got some work done by you up in Portland.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I think I remember it. I've worked on a lot of cars.
We've done a lot of cars.
We mentioned it before, but anyways, he was super excited to see you come on tonight. And so, yeah, I mean,
And I guess we should just say, Jason with KINGPIN is who did Grimero. That's how we met him.
I just assume everybody knows everything. But yeah, we met back in like pre-COVID, right when it kind of was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And we were just diving into the Grimero project, and actually our sponsor Scosh introduced us to you, and I called you not knowing anything about audio, and I was like, hey, how much is this going to cost? But anyways, why don't we throw it on over to you and give us a little intro about what you do, and I don't know, how cool you are, I guess.
Not cool at all. I'm just an old guy that puts radios in for a living. So I'm Jason Kranitz. So I've been in the industry quite some time now. I don't even want to date myself, but it's like 27 years. Somewhere right around there. It's been a while. So it was a hobby. So the way I got started in it, just like anything else, it was a hobby. And then from hobby, it went to, oh, cool, I can work and do this, right?
Make some
and
money.
Then that turns into, oh, hey, this is a career. I like this a lot. This is really what I like to do, so I'm going to hone my craft and my skill. And then that turned into, well, I should be a business owner. Then that turned to, after doing that for a while, so besides the retail side, we also run a training facility. And so we teach other guys in the industry all the way from sales to fabrication, to finding signal wires, to tuning audio, to we have a laser class now. I mean, it just keeps going and going and going on all the different things we did. And then that led to some products we started developing and selling for our industry, jigs and templates, and now we're that's now transformed into distribution, so router bits and things of that nature. So It's a big kind of expanding, evolving business, and it's kind of hard to keep track of all those parts. But yeah, that's what that's what's moved into. So it's awesome. I really love what I do.
Yeah, that's way cool. And for those of you guys that are watching local to Vegas, Jason's actually, he works out of Vegas, so he's not like a visiting guest from another state. Yeah. So about a year and a half ago, it'll be 2 years December, we moved. My wife and I packed up everything, shut down a very successful shop in Wilsonville, Oregon, and now I remember who Mark is. Hi, Mark. I see it there now. I put two and two together. I'm a little. We decided that we really wanted to focus on the school and kind of really grow that. So we came out to the Vegas with a purpose of doing the school and promoting the distribution things. And we got opened up September, I believe it was the 5th, with our first classes and that was in 2019, yes. And then COVID hit, so now we had to change a few things. So we're diving back into the retail realm. We're a project-based company when it comes to that. So that's kind of what we're focusing on the retail side of things.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Yeah, so, hey, Paul. We got Paul on there. We got some regulars that tune in often, so it's kind of cool. If you guys have any questions about audio, car audio, marine audio, toss them in the chat because this guy can answer all of them.
I can do that for sure.
All right. So, anyways, let's go into some questions we have.
Well, I got a question.
Okay.
So I know you mentioned you do the school and you actually
Mm-hmm.
teach other guys in the industry how to do stuff. Is that kind of weird because they're kind of your competitors at the same time and you're teaching them how to be awesome?
That's a very good question. It's actually a really good question. I get that quite a bit.
Yeah.
And the way I look at it is if I can make the industry better and get those standards of practices up another level, then that means there's going to be less upset people that have maybe gone to a discount store to get
Gotcha.
something done and they're unhappy and they're like, I'll never do aftermarket again. So if we can raise that level, even on a local level, that's to me it's still worth it, right? Because in the end, it's always got this theory is they can go back and try to emulate 1,000% of what we do, but they'll never be there because we're constantly evolving. So
right.
yeah, so
You're always one step
but
ahead.
my big thing with that is to just really grow the industry. So if they can be better, then that means the whole area can be better, which means then the industry grows.
Gotcha. And more people will stay in custom work versus going to
Yes.
audio excellence. And
Let me
stuff like
answer
that.
a couple questions here. The diagnosis on an antenna, we need a new head unit. Yes, it's pretty simple. We can just use a different style of antenna, ground the post on the back, and plug it into the radio and see if it works, if you get better signal than that, for sure.
There you go. We've got another. Hey, Paul. He just signed on too. Our buddy Richard in California said, "What's the best mic to use for on-the-fly video?" Do you know that?
The best mic for on-fly video for
Yeah,
filming?
I
I don't know,
probably.
probably.
I use synthesizer, whatever they call it, for when we do our videos. But
Yeah.
I don't know if that's really a car audio question he's looking for or
Yeah.
not. But that's
Yeah.
usually the one we use for that type of thing.
Cool.
For when we're filming stuff.
My mom's on here, so as you know, my parents have a couple different boats, you know,
Okay.
so they're super into the marine side
Yeah.
of things. They just recently got a new, I call it a yacht, but it's
Right.
not it's a yacht to me.
Right.
She's asking, is there a difference in stereo setups on boat versus vehicles?
It's an awesome question. There's actually a huge difference. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the components when you put anything into a boat. A lot of shops want to use MDF, and MDF soaks up water, so they kind of like resin it. So if they're doing like a subwoofer enclosure or something, they'll try resin it, but if you get a small pinhole, or once you penetrate with the screw to mount the subwoofer or mount it down, then it can just get water. Even humidity will make it swell and fall apart. So we only use polymer plastics, including our enclosures and in our amp racks that go into a boat, and we use stainless steel screws. Those are kind of the number one important parts
Gotcha.
of the actually assembling compared to a car. Now we take a lot of that same understanding of materials into the car as well too. We're using a lot more polymers and plastics in the cars than we are wood than we used to. The next big thing is actually tuning the boat. So a lot of people don't know that you get anywhere from a 3 to 4 dB gain, about a 1K up. So I'm geeking everybody out here. What that means is basically 1K is like the middle road. It's the female voice. It's the top end of the male voice. It's kind of where words come from in that frequency range. And just reflective surface on the water, you're going to get that brightness. So those tweeters are going to sound a lot crispier when it's on the water than it is not on the water.
Interesting.
Right?
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So it's some of those things to kind of know when you're tuning things and understanding power and everything where that's going to sound and make a bigger difference for sure. And then the terminology is slightly different. You don't have front rear sub, you have sub, and you have the cabin speakers, and then you have tower speakers. There's not really a front and rear or left or right because depending where you're walking around the boat,
Yeah.
you could be either or. So you just kind of watch for some of that. I think the most important thing of the boat that makes it different on the audio side is if you can physically see the cone of the subwoofer, you're not actually getting all the output that it can perform. It's got to load like inside of a trunk.
Gotcha.
So it's got to be able to have some sort of load-in platform or you're not going to get the most out of that enclosure.
I think I pulled a couple of pictures of some boat stuff he did. I think a tower on looked like a wake boat.
She said, my next question is, are you ready to come for a boat ride and an
There you go.
install?
Yeah, of course. All the time we're ready for
Oh,
that.
yeah, there
So
you go.
This is one of your projects, right?
Yes.
That's pretty rad.
Yes. That was actually a cool custom under pod that we did. That tower that we did, so we had the 4 8-inch drivers at the top, and down below are 6-inch, and there's actually little lights that are Frenched in there as well too. That was on a tower that could only hold 2 pairs of speakers. So
Is that like from like a wakeboard boat?
yeah, that's a Centurion boat.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
cool.
one of the big ones. I think I don't remember the model number. It's the
Anthony
pretty big
wants a
one.
wakeboard boat,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
but
Yeah.
they're
Sure.
really expensive.
Yeah, boats can get pricey. Boats, I from when I first started in car audio to to like 8 or 9 years ago, boats started climbing, and then next thing you know, it's a house.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
it's crazy. And some of those, like the Mastercrafts, the
Yeah.
Centurions, over 100K. It's like, woo.
I'll like look
boat.
at wakeboard boats. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool, and it's like $180,000.
Right.
I'm like, yeah,
never mind.
no, I'm good.
There's a reason why they give 20-year loans on those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? It's a house.
Exactly. Cool. Yeah. Let's toss up this other picture. Can you tell us what this is from?
That's from that was an Accord. That job was rebuilt 3 different times for the client. He kept changing his mind of some things he wanted and how he wanted to perform. It was one of those things where he was embarrassed to say what kind of music he listened to, and he wanted to use the word. So this is what we have a problem with in our industry, and I like to really break it down with people. Is he comes in and says he wants it loud and clean. He wants it really big on sound quality.
Yeah.
What he really meant is I listen to nothing but death metal, and I play basketball in the park, and I listen to my car on the basketball cart from the parking lot, and so I want to really distort a lot. So that's really what he meant. It's not a negative thing. You can design a system to kind of handle that a little bit differently than saying the sound quality with time alignment and EQing for sure in a car.
Wow.
Gotcha.
Cool. I think we had a couple more questions if we can scroll up just a little. Hey, Tom, I see you're on here. Here you go. Mark's got a question. Who should I get to wire up my brother's Civic in the PDX area? I have deck sub amp all ready to go.
Okay, so here's kind of, this is a tricky question. I still get a lot of my existing clients from Oregon that call, and I love them. And that was probably it was my top 3 things of why I did not want to move, but I had to in order to grow. So my clients were the number 1 reason on a business level I didn't want to lose. So here's kind of the answer that I did. Re had such a different way of doing things in the level that Re wanted to perform to get them done. That some of the shops around town, that's not the way they do things. They don't want any part of it, so it makes it tough. I actually, just so you guys know, I actually went around to everybody in town and said, hey, I'm looking to service my clients. It needs to be done a certain way. I'm willing to come in and do some training, that type of thing. And every single shop in town turned that down.
Wow.
So
they lost out on that.
Yeah, they lost out on a lot of things there. So it's really tough for me to recommend anybody there because everybody told me no, so I don't feel comfortable sending my clients there. We're in Portland.
Yeah.
So the best I can tell you to do is do your research.
And come to Vegas.
Yeah, or come
just
to Vegas.
come to Vegas.
Have a vacation,
We're all
really
here.
handle it. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, and that's probably been my most challenging thing about moving my company and my business is being able not to tell anybody that, hey, we have that. We tried to sell the business as a turnkey. Like, we pull down the signs, we pull the inventory, quick turnkey, it's all set up, all the infrastructure's built, all the tooling's built, and I would stay on for 3 or 4 months. And we just couldn't find anybody that was really interested in it. And it actually, to be honest with you, it's kind of hurt your feelings a bit when that happens, right? Because you're like,
why is it not good enough?
Right, exactly. What have I done wrong? But when you do something to a certain high level, I think it intimidates other people.
They're probably like,
that they couldn't be able to do that.
I can't stand up to it.
Yeah.
You can come stay with us, Mark. We've got room. We want to show, if you guys haven't seen what Jason did inside of the Grimero, so we're going to throw that up on the screen real quick. He can tell you what he did because, to me, it just looks really pretty.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Well, number 1 was, we wanted some sound quality, and we used the Sony and the Scotia stuff. That was the sponsors on this project.
Yep.
We have, actually, there's a hidden amplifier on the backside, and then we have a Zapco processor, which is another company that we end up using for time alignment and processing. So there's 2 components hidden. But this is kind of, I wanted to follow, the trunk on the car is actually extremely hard to get anything in there.
It's kind of a weird shape.
It's kind of weird shape, and we wanted to keep the spare tire underneath there, and the batteries in the back. So I kind of followed line what we do a lot of our street rods, where we build a hidden storage compartment underneath the carpeted piece, pulls out, and allows access to all the factory stuff down there, and it actually gives you a little bit of storage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a streetcar, so
Right,
grocery
exactly.
getter, and we have put groceries in there, so it works great.
Now I know that since the car's got the theme and it's powerful and everything else, I also was a little conscious on weight, so we end up using a lot of polymer plastics and things of that nature, or birch plywood.
He didn't just
I just didn't throw a bunch of stuff in there. I was cautious of that, and I was always trying to balance the weight out of it too. So that's why it's very symmetrical left to right.
Yeah.
And then try to have the heaviest part right over the wheel well area there in the front.
I haven't quite yet track tested it yet, so when we do that, we'll let you know. But it should hit the track probably pretty soon, probably within the next month or 2. We've got some new Federal tires, and we've got some Wed Sport wheels, Maverick 709s. So you guys, that's all coming up soon. I just am waiting on some TPMS sensors. So pretty lame excuse, but that's all we're waiting on. Let's pull up this other project you did. This is insane looking.
Oh, this one here. This This is actually back of a GTI, so this was a fun project. So I got a call from a manufacturer, Hertz and Audison. Hertz is the one side of the company. They have two different it's an Italian company. They have two different brands. It's under the same umbrella. So the Hertz side of things, they called up and said, hey, we would like to use this GTI thing you just bought because it's the only thing that'll fit in the door at the Orleans. Because they always do it at CES. They always did the Orleans up there. I'm like, okay, cool. So GTI's fit. Still have to take the door handles off, but that gets into the convention door. So, I come home, I tell my wife, I say, hey, your new car you got? And guess what? It's going again.
Tear it apart.
We're tearing apart once again. And, and I didn't get a choice of gear. They really wanted some stuff. And it was pretty interesting. So my wife tells me, she says, well, you can do anything you want, but I don't want to lose any room back there.
Oh, man.
So, and I was like, well, this is typical what comes in. Somebody may want a larger system and wanted to have all the space. Now, what you can't see is there's actually a carpeted trim panel that sits on the top of that.
Oh, nice.
Which makes it actually 3/4 inches taller than where the factory floor piece stopped when you put the cover on.
Right.
But I never told her that. I just faked that, I'm like, yeah, it's the same height. So we only lost 3/4 of an inch. So basically, we'd be fiberglass enclosure for the 10s around there's a charcoal canister in there for the evap stuff.
Yep.
Right.
We took out the spare tire. We got all the stuff in there, and the processor that you can see below the subs, the manufacturer really wanted to highlight that for the show. So we did this, and it's actually been a really neat install because we also filmed it, and we also timed it. So I did this with the school in mind. So this was an area, this whole entire system was built in 4 days. So, and I kind of limited myself to some materials and, time frames.
Right.
And we kind of document that for the class to show, because we like to talk about a lot of times about production high end. It's cool to build the one-off stuff, which we do a lot of, but we want to make sure that it gets done in an appropriate amount of time.
Right.
Yeah, and what's cool is, my buddy Tom, he's got a 350Z just like what we just kind of picked up, and so you got to stay tuned on that because we're
gonna be starting that soon.
Okay, so I've already had some conversations with Jason about it, so stay tuned, Tom, because you might have to drive to Vegas too.
Come drop your car off.
Yeah.
We'll take good care of it.
Let's see here. Go ahead, Anthony. What questions did you have for Jay?
Well, you just talked about, doing some shows and stuff with that GTI. What are some of the other shows you've done or some of your big projects you've gone to?
I think probably some of the, we always do a lot of SEMA show cars, CS for the manufacturers. Those are always fun. I've done some memorial builds during SEMA. Probably one of the cool ones, there's a movie that came out, it ended up being just a documentary called Ride Culture. And we did a huge boat on that.
Oh, yeah.
And it was pretty cool because the full film crew came out and filmed this 28-foot Nordic boat.
Oh, wow.
And it had like a downstairs system and an upstairs. And this was probably 20 years ago. This was 16, 17 years ago.
That's awesome.
And it was pretty cool because the producers of the show, they want to create some sort of drama. So I cut the floor out of the boat. Okay, so I cut this 4-foot
and this is like a new boat?
brand new Nordic boat, right? Up underneath the hole there because they wanted something for drama, right?
Yeah.
That's how these shows work.
Oh, man.
So what we did is we grafted in some plexiglass, ended up being flat on the bottom.
Wow.
And we call it the fishy window. So you can look at the fishies while you're going there. But it worked out well. The boat's still out at Lake Havasu, and they've never had any issues with it. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So we've done some things like that.
That'd be terrifying. Sure. I wouldn't be able to do that.
I'm gonna cut a big hole in the bottom of a boat.
I couldn't even cut the hole in the race car trunk when we did the fuel cell in it.
Right.
Anthony's like, oh, here, you could do it. I was like, no, I'm not doing this. You cut it. It's funny. That's awesome. Travis is asking, what are your thoughts on more road course races added to the 20? Yeah, so if you follow me on Instagram, I was really stoked on this. They've added Circuit of the Americas, and they added Indy, but Indy road course, so that's super exciting. It's going to be pretty awesome. So, thanks for asking, because I can't wait. It's going to be super sweet.
Yeah, it's going to be rad.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so Jason, if someone was coming to you and they wanted a system in their car, what are the things they need to know to be able to tell you before, approaching you?
So I say the biggest thing is people are a little apprehensive when they talk about budgets where they want to be, but you can get to a much faster result if you say, hey, I'm really looking at this because we can work around that and we can have some general discussions. When you come to my shop, it's a tad bit different because we're actually a locked showroom, appointment only. Right. And we're continuing that with our new space that we get. We'll hopefully be open February 1st. We get January 1st. So that has to stay the same where we're at. So it's a tad different. Be prepared to bring some good music and kind of be truly honest with what you're looking for, and then we can make it. Don't be embarrassed. If you've had 412s in the 90s and say, hey, I like a lot of beats. Don't say, oh, I'm grown up now, I need a single 10, right? Because I can tell you right now, you'll be disappointed when it's all said and done. You'll come back for more bass. So I think that's the biggest thing, is realize it takes a little bit more time to go through. It's almost like a concierge service, really listen to what your needs are. We spend a lot of time on that. And right now, we're also, since we're doing COVID and stuff, and we're at our manufacturing facility, which we don't allow anybody at, we actually come to them, or we do a Zoom digital consultation. So we actually make it pretty easy to do.
Gotcha. So pretty much let you know what kind of music and what kind of
and
sound you're
it's
looking
okay
for.
to say you listen to everything,
Right.
but you need to also, because we just had a client, I listened to everything, and he did, but he mostly listens to 90s hip-hop.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Right? So that helps us determine, it really helps us determine what kind of sound you're looking for.
Right.
Yeah, and we actually haven't dialed in the Gramero yet, so
Right.
and I haven't really
and it
done a
sounds freaking
recap
sick, too.
either. We just showed kind of how what you did and when we're doing it, but you guys stay tuned because we're not done.
No, we
And
got round 2.
I don't know if we'll ever be done, but that's okay. So
That's the project cars. They're never done.
that's why you guys haven't seen any full audio update about the Gramero, because it's still kind of work in progress. And as you know, we have a lot of cars now, and racing season started, and so everything's a little bit crazy. But Jason's still very much involved in a lot of the things that we're doing. So that will be very cool. So there's stuff to come with that. I was going to ask you a question, and now I forgot what it was. So it'll come back. Maybe.
Tell us a little bit about 12-volt Empire. I know you guys do that on
The 12,
Facebook.
Yeah, 12-volt Empire. This is the thing it's cool, because it was our page for school for additional what we call training area, and it was open to the public, and then it morphed into something else, and so we changed it when we moved to Vegas. So the 12-volt Empire is kind of incorporated names the KINGPIN Empire. So I was forced by the landlord to start a new corporation here. So that's what we called it, right? So it kind of encompasses everything we do. The 12-volt Empire is only for people in our industry.
Right.
So it's an open forum on Facebook, but closed. It's a closed group, so they can ask things like manufacturers questions. There can be pricing. They can say, hey, we have this kind of a challenge, we have this type of customer. How would you guys handle this?
Right.
So it gives kind of an open, kind of continued education from the classes, but also just open forum to ask those kind of tough questions where they might not have a mentor system to ask that. So that's what we've done with that piece too.
That's cool.
On
That's
Facebook.
awesome how open you are with the community and the industry. That's really,
I've never
you don't
met
see that
anybody
anywhere.
like that in any industry.
They're all
Everybody's secret
cutthroat,
thing.
secret.
Well, that still happens, right? I'm just trying to change it because it doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
I remember what I was going to ask. I wanted you to talk about some of your products, because in the Gramero build, I got to mess with the Levitate product, which I had never seen anything like that, so that was really cool. So maybe you want to plug that stuff and talk about it a little bit.
Okay, cool. So we design templates so you can. We like our newest one is our clean wire system, right? So it gives you layout on board. So we zip tie. This is something that's actually only been out for about 40 days now.
Is that this right here?
Yeah, it should be popping up here in a
There you
second.
go.
That's what it looks like. So those little markers come out and they give you a quick index for drilling the holes for it. So this is kind of where we morphed everything too. So as we decide how we want to do things as a business, I'm morphing to the way I want to do it. I'm not going to do it any other way. And so this is going to be all our layouts on our amp boards and stuff. So we make things from that to wood shop templates and jigs. And then we came out with our own fillers designed for our market space. So there's additives to basically a base filler. We have our Levitate and our Create. Now the Levitate's really cool because you can basically, it holds shape and it doesn't sag at all. So you can hang it upside down. A cup of this stuff.
Like a Frosty.
Right, so it's basically...
So Blizzard.
Yeah,
Oh, Blizzard, my bad.
Yeah,
Damn.
exactly.
Like a
yes.
Frosty would go bleh.
Yeah, exactly.
Unlike a Frosty, that's what I said.
Yeah, so most people use the word, it's a body filler, but most people, generic word is Bondo, but it's a name brand. So it's a body filler that's designed for industry, because a lot of times we're shaping things initially with that, and when it sags out, you're adding tons and you're sanding. So this stuff not only doesn't sag, which can speed up that time, so the end user can get into more custom fab parts at a price that's less than, not, and the quality doesn't go away. That's the whole point. But it's also we got some agent stuff that we put in it to make it really easy on sanding, doesn't clog the sandpaper, and then our Create's kind of our standard filler that's got a lot of real hardener in it that works really well. It's a very strong. I would not put any of this stuff on the outside of a car. It's not designed for that. It's designed, reuse a lot of woods and polymer plastics, and so that's what it's designed for. So yeah, we're pretty proud of that product line.
And it everything you do and have looks so good.
Yeah.
Like
Thank you.
I
The
just
branding is awesome.
when we walked into your old shop, it was just like, whoa, this place is really cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like Jason's stuff is just unreal. I mean, it's pretty awesome. I'm
Appreciate
really
that.
excited for your new space too.
Yes.
Next year, that's gonna be awesome. Awesome.
Looks like you got a question there, Shell. What's your favorite racetrack?
Bathurst in Australia.
All right.
That's
How about
my
here,
favorite.
though? How about in the U.S.?
Oh, I really like Sonoma.
Sonoma.
That's like my favorite, and I'm usually pretty good there. I used to like Thunderhill, and then I started to not like it, and then I did my best finish there, so I kind of like that one again. But hoping to hit some East Coast tracks soon, because that's what I need to do is expand my experience past Texas, because that's as far as I've gone. Actually, we did get to drive in Chicago thanks to Tom.
Oh, yeah.
He let me drive at Autobahn, which was really cool.
In the Uber Stang.
Yes, but as we are talking about cars, let's pull up one of your cars here.
Yeah, it's my baby. It's my baby. So it's a 1920 Hudson S6 Super 6. It's our rat rod, and we actually built it this year with me and a student. And we did this once again, 4 days, kind of a theme,
Wow.
right?
That's crazy.
So we built this thing, and we kind of call it, we nicknamed it the bootlegger. So we did some wine barrels in the back, and then of course you see the exhaust wrap that we did on front. We pulled those into the poles in the back to showcase their products and kind of give it a theme.
Yeah.
But it's my favorite toy, and it's about the right temperature to start driving again.
Yeah,
'Cause
this thing is so cool. Anthony and I got to check it out
You
up
went
close.
cruising down the strip.
And
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That was fun. When COVID hit, the Las Vegas Strip was like a ghost town.
Oh, it was awesome.
So we went and cruised this thing. It was pretty rad.
Yeah, we got a
it
lot of
sounds
video footage,
yeah,
yeah.
so good, and it looks good, and I hear it's kind of hard to drive.
It is a pain, but I've got a new solution to it, right? So the
Okay.
biggest thing is first of all, you put a 6'2", 262 man inside of it. It's something that's channeled and chopped and airbag. First of all, the wind, you can see where the back seats are. I stare out the side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the second problem is you can't see the street lights, so that's why I add the rag top to it, so I can see street lights. Because when I got this, I really wanted to drive it. The problem is changing lanes, and it's not because of the audio system, because I'm old, my neck doesn't turn sideways, but I can't, there's no mirrors that make sense on it.
Right.
So we're actually, Stinger has got a new cool 10-inch and 8-inch screen that has has as a base piece, a hideaway base piece, but allows side cameras in it, and
nice.
front and rear.
Oh, that'd be.
So we're gonna
yeah.
hide cameras in it, so I can actually now drive it by
See it,
myself
yeah.
There
with the
you go.
blinkers. Because there is one thing different about here than back in Oregon. The biggest thing, well, it's actually two things. Number one is red lights are suggestive in Las Vegas. Usually count 5 or 6 people past the red light,
Right.
and then about another minute later, somebody else still goes through it, right?
Yeah.
And then turn signals they don't use here either.
No, those are optional.
So. Those are optional, but when you do use them, everybody gets out of your way. They're like, "What's that foreign
this guy
object
means-
on there? What's
means
going on?"
business.
Or they don't let you over.
Yeah, they
That's
don't
me.
let you
I'm
over.
like, oh no, you're too late.
Yeah, so that's it's what makes that car a little bit challenging to drive, but I do like it. But usually when passengers with me, it's always this weird communication, and the car's super loud. And
Yeah, you need a radio system, like not a stereo system, like a
Yeah.
headset system to talk,
ooh, that
like
would-
in a race car.
But then they can't hear the music. We
That's
could do
right.
that.
Well, yeah, you'd have to dub that in. I don't know how
Yeah.
you do all that.
I can make that work.
Okay.
I can wire that in for
Projects, added on projects. All right, let's see. I don't think we have any more questions.
Anthony can drive too. I can't drive anything.
Tom said we can come back to Autobahn, which
there you
is
go.
sweet. And I saw Brad's in here. He said, "Woo, Bathurst! I love Bathurst."
Oh, I saw on your Facebook page these door panels. I don't know if you made them or.
We
they're
just
freaking
modified them
sick.
and did the grill. Those are
Okay.
a composite fiberglass.
Yeah.
That was an interesting build. That was on the Fiat R4 or whatever the thing's called. I'm
Gotcha.
poor about car names.
Wow, look how cool it looks. I didn't
Yeah.
realize how awesome it is.
Those were, I think he spent somewhere right around $18,000 for those door panels.
Whoa.
And so we had to make a speaker location and make something that looked, and that's kind of what he came up with. Now, the interesting thing about that door is, in order to make that panel work, the airbag couldn't be in the doors anymore.
Gotcha.
So the customer came down and cut those out. We had to roll the car in the parking lot.
You do
Out
that.
on the street, you do that. He kept begging me to do it. And then he wanted to make some hooky thingy up to it, and I just gave up to
Yeah.
make the airbag light not come on the dash.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
man.
then he had to go get a DEQ like a year and a half later after I moved here.
Yeah.
After we did that car, it was like the first year I moved here, and he's all panicky. I can't run it through DEQ. I told you not to take the airbags
Right,
out.
right.
You're in trouble. You know.
That's crazy.
So, but yeah, that was a pretty cool build. That was a lot of stuff in a very small space.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's-
the Fiats are really little. I got
Yeah.
to drive like a mega Fiat race car. It
Oh,
was,
did you?
Yeah, it was. I don't even remember what it was called. The Spider Abarth whatever, and it was like fully caged.
Yeah,
with
124 Spider.
Yeah, and it had a hydraulic
car.
transmission, and it was pretty sick.
That's awesome.
I did it on Hoonigan. It was fun. All right. Well, I mean that. Oh, we got more. I think I'm down. You down to do some more? I seen there's more photos up here. So
I like that blue one.
All right, let's pull up the
blue
blue
one. That was a Chevy no post. I forget the year. So that kind of shows you kind of our street rod builds, right? So it's all about design to me. I could care less about seeing the equipment.
Right.
So when we do things, unless it's a sponsorship thing, as you can see from the other windows, nothing's really square in it. For me, as building pounds, one of the things I teach is to make sure that the design works for the car.
Right.
And then worry about where the equipment goes.
Yeah.
That looks so nice.
Thank you. It
That
was
like
a nice, clean,
fits.
classy.
That fits the car, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
It
get
looks-
the vibe.
You know, like,
Yeah.
It doesn't look old, but it's got that feel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the things, especially doing the street rods, is one of the things I tell guys when I teach them is, first of all, you can date the restoration of the car just by the audio system. So if
Right.
you do this big painted volcano thing that comes up that was really popular in the 90s, I can
Ah.
tell, hey, that car was done in the 90s, or it's
Right.
my first fiberglass project, right? It's one of the two. So that's why I was trying to say, hey, forget about the equipment.
Yeah.
Because it can date it. If you
Yeah.
start building around that, I don't think people realize the design cues. But yeah, the picture that shows without it shows kind of the different belt lines and things that line up in it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a rad one.
Yeah, I really like the lighting on it. It's
Yeah,
nice.
thank you.
I got a question from Michael. He said, "What is the best speakers / highest price sound system you've ever installed in a car?" Can you even remember?
I'm sure it's.
I can
pretty
remember
number.
certain things. I know some pretty certain
Yeah,
jobs.
all right.
So you're very blessed when your first job when you open your business is $82,000, right? So it's a pretty big project. So
That's
that kind of
pretty
helps get the
Yeah.
ball rolling, right?
Yeah.
So that was, but I've the Audison Thesis amps that resell. They have their Thesis Vente. We actually had one on the showroom floor working up in Oregon. I actually sold it when I got down here. That's a $17,000 amplifier. So we've done a
Wow.
system where we've done two of those, and then the Thesis ones are $4,000 or $5,000.
Oh, man.
And there's component sets that go all the way up to $20,000. So
Wow.
I would say that the biggest sound quality system I ever did wasn't the actual 80,000 because we did a bunch of other things to the car. It was very little.
Can I ask what kind of car it was?
You'd be shocked.
I want to know.
Take a wild guess.
I'm gonna say a Honda.
A
of some
Geo
sort.
Metro.
It was a Honda. It was a Honda
Dang,
Accord.
really? Oh.
Oh,
Yeah, it seems like the larger systems that we do are always because they're enthusiasts. They really
Yeah.
love their music.
Wow.
We had a Subaru we did. Michael, who's a great project we did. We did the hybrid door panels down below to get what he wanted, full trunk build out and everything. And that was a pretty large system with,
Jeez.
it had
wow.
Thesis amps in it and everything else. And that was in a Subaru.
Do they insure that? Is it the
Yeah,
same
you
thing
can-
as modifications to a motor?
Yeah, you can get it insured.
Gotta have those
You just got to
receipts.
check out with your local insurance agent to find out what it is. So.
Jeez.
Crazy. All right.
Honda.
Looks like we're getting a little running over a little bit here. What's
Why don't-
next? What's
yeah.
next for Kingpin? What's coming up?
Well, COVID's now changed everything. So,
Yeah.
like I said, so we're focusing on retail now. We've been doing some things.
Right.
It's kind of neat where we're at. So we're currently working on a bunch of stuff with Chop-Tobin. So
Oh,
we had some
nice.
personal
Chop-It.
Cool.
video-
The
yeah.
chopper.
Chop it.
Yes. So we got some cool things there.
Awesome.
We're actually designing for the Kia line and the Dodge Ram line. We're actually in the midst of prototyping what we're going to call it the boom system, the chop
Sweet.
boom system.
There you
I
go.
like that.
That you'll be able to purchase when you buy a brand new car.
Nice.
It'll be in the trucks and in the Kia.
There you go.
I call it the Teletubby car. It's the
Telluride.
Telluride. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why
I
Such
don't
a
know. I've never
weird
heard of
name.
that.
Teletubby just runs in my
Yeah.
head every time. I don't know because I'm
I
fat.
think Telluride is a place.
Yeah.
I think.
Huh.
But-
Yeah, it's a really neat car. It's a great SUV. So yeah, I just got my hands on one. So we're gonna be working on that. So it's kind of a cool project that
Yeah,
we got
sweet.
going on there. We got about 90 new product lines in our tooling
Wow.
line are coming out for our industry. So the CNC should be fired up here in less than about 8 days now. So
That's
once
cool.
that's fired up, got a bunch of things already drawn. So we're ready to rock and roll on that. And then obviously probably the biggest thing for our local market is the new space. So I'm proud to announce
Yeah.
that we've got
Yeah.
this was a long negotiations. But we are going to be on 1610 Raiders Way,
Yep.
suite number 140. So we're across the street from the Raiders practice facility. It's a
Sick.
brand new building.
Yep.
I got to be able
So
to
rad.
do majority of the build out the way I wanted it.
Awesome.
off the get-go,
cool.
so it allows us to come in and be more efficient. So
And I'll
that's pretty
drive
cool.
by you every single day.
Oh, yeah?
Because I go to
Throw
work.
rocks at us? Yeah.
Like I go to
And
work
then
in
for
Anthem.
the university side, we will be starting classes. We're going to go ahead and do them social distance, smaller classes starting end of January, 1st of February. So we're
Cool.
really
Awesome.
looking forward to that. So.
Cool. Well, I know you're super active on Facebook, so where else can people follow you and kind of?
Well, I have an Instagram page.
Okay, I know.
I'm too busy working, time to do all this. So the social media people out there go, you have the greatest content, and you're an idiot.
Yeah.
And then our YouTube page as well too, which we're
Yeah.
adding a little bit more here and there. So it's kind of all the things are combined, retail and the university, and you know that's a long story, but all on YouTube combined is the same, right?
Cool.
So
Yeah.
it actually might just change the name of it too. But yes.
So you're on all of them, not Twitter, right? No,
Yeah,
you me
Twitter's
either.
kinda
It's
whatever.
okay.
Twitter.
But you can find
Yeah.
Jason on Instagram,
Yes.
Facebook, and YouTube.
On YouTube, yeah.
And thanks for all your guys' questions.
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
appreciate that. It's good to hear from you, Mark, by the way.
Yay. And stay tuned for more from Jason, because obviously 2021 is going to be a
Whole new
banger.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Forget this
awesome.
COVID stuff.
Yeah, I know. We all just want to
Start fresh.
Finish.
Yes.
Cool.
Can
All
we
right.
just go back to the swine flu? Like, can we just lower
I feel like I only met you because of COVID, though, because otherwise
It's
you would have
true.
been way too busy.
but maybe so. We still would have handled it for you though.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching.
Thanks, guys.
See you
Peace.
next Wednesday.
Later.